Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Orion 44. This is the third premium ship here available, I believe, as a part of this D-Day event. This one also available in the premium shop for 23 bucks US. So the same as the Unicum that we looked at yesterday. And I think this one's a little bit better. A little biased, I suppose, but anytime I get myself a heal on a cruiser at mid-tier like this, I'm always just going to enjoy it more. I can play much more aggressively and not deal with the consequences as much. I'm not punished as hard for pushing up, taking damage, taking risks, and I like that a lot. This ship is very similar to the Leander. So this is the tier 6 tech tree version, right? The Leander. However, we don't get a smoke. Leander, though, does have a regular heal, not a super heal. So it's not as extreme as going from no heal to a super heal, but that is something to keep in mind. Getting a super heal here is quite nice. Our concealment, though, is a little bit worse, and we have a little bit less starting health overall. Not too much, but that worse concealment does come into play, I think. And as far as the main guns go, we at least do have more range. So unlike the Leander, we do get 14.5 kilometers of range. It's not bad. Can be a little tricky in these up tiers here against some higher tier opponents, but it can work. At least we don't have to rely on a spotter plane, for example. Leander gets a spotter plane. Don't have to rely on that. Leander gets 13.2 kilometers base. So very nice to see here that we just get that baked in, nicer range. Although we do have worse DPM as a result. So we have a 9.5 second reload instead of 9 seconds on the Leander. So I do notice that a little bit. The damage output is a little bit lacking. Fortunately, though, the AP shells don't appear to be changed really, so we do get the same alpha damage, the same very nice fuse times and pen angles. It allows it to even work against battleships that are very well angled. And the alpha damage there, nearly 5k alpha out of that salvo into the Colorado. Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. And a really nice aspect of these guns is actually the shell flight time. So even though the shell velocity out of the guns is the same as Leander, thanks to better drag characteristics on these shells relative to Leander, we actually do have to lead less at range. So the shells get to their maximum range much quicker, which feels nice. It makes it a little more playable to play this more open water role at times. And as we're using here, although it's about to end, the speed boost gives us some very, very nice maneuverability. We don't often see speed boosts on these British cruisers, and they already have baked in very nice acceleration, and they kind of drift around anyway. So having a speed boost on it is actually a lot of fun. They're already decent at this open water role at times. Their Citadel makes it hard, of course, but people play open water minnow. They play range, not range minnow. Well, some people play range minnow, but they certainly do play radar minnow at times and can make it work. It's not the easiest, but here at tier 6, having that super heal at this lower tier alongside a speed boost now makes it pretty fun to play. On top of that, we also do get some very nice torpedoes, a little bit more alpha damage out of these ones, and more range. So 10 kilometer range compared to the 8 kilometer range on the Leander. Also getting 16.7k damage instead of 15.4 on the Leander. So nice little buffs there, although a little bit longer reload to compensate for that. The speed is only 1 knot faster, so I don't really see that as much of an improvement. You only get 4 per side, so I didn't really get much value out of them personally, because I was oftentimes just trying to use these main guns to do damage and impact the game. But they are pretty scary torpedoes, especially when you build for them. They can do quite a lot of damage. The anti-air is kind of bad. I don't know what we're really expecting. Bad AA is just kind of how things go in this video game. And this enemy carrier is, well, let's just say he's a fan, I guess. Really wanted to kill me, I suppose. We'll just leave it at that. You'll see throughout this game, certainly. As for our depth charges, unfortunately, they're ship-based, so we don't have the plane-based ASWs, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to deal with submarines. You really have to charge into them, which is a little uncomfortable. And our shells go short there on the Atlanta, unfortunately. The pen, I think, would have been enough to Citadel there. I'm not quite sure, but the fortunate side of this British AP is that into destroyers, we should be getting some nice full pens. You don't overpen too badly. Gonna take a blind shot here. We got 39.5k damage so far. so we can see what this salvo actually does. And it's nearly 5k damage out of that one salvo there, blind into that Sims. So very interesting to have that AP here. It's not like the San Martin and the Pan American line of cruisers, where the APs tends to just overpen destroyers. The British AP doesn't have to worry about that nearly as much. Fortunately, we don't take too much damage from those rockets. Again, that Superheal gives me a lot of confidence to play more aggressive like this. We're pretty far ahead of our team. There's really only a sub nearby, and of course those things can just go underwater and disappear, right? So there's a lot less risk there. So hopefully we're able to 1v1 this Mysore a little bit and launch the Torps. Got to make sure of that. The angles aren't too great pushing forward. You certainly are exposing some of your Citadel, but we do get the Torps away. Planes are back for us. And the submarine Torps are actually just going to do some crazy curving into that Mysore and take them out for me. So I don't actually have to worry about them, which helped a lot, as I was pushing into a pretty bad crossfire here. If that Atlanta had gotten a hold of us, this way I'm at least able to turn away and use our Superheal. Get a lot of that HP back. Very, very nice to have. As for the repair on this thing, we do get that 50% Citadel repair. That's something that helped out the Rodney, of course, another ship that's out for this D-Day event. It helped it be a little bit better than I initially thought. So with this one as well, we get 50% Citadel repair. Leander only gets 10% of that. So very, very different there. If you're taking Citadels, the Orion can come back where the Leander won't. And then also we have that little bit more to just standard repair. It's 60% instead of 50%. So that's nice to see, but mainly it's that Citadel. If you take Citadels here, which you probably will, let's be honest here, light cruisers, mid-tier, probably going to take some Citadels. You will heal some of that back, which is nice on this ship. So it's a very interesting mid-tier light cruiser, I would say. You don't get the usual smoke ability of these British light cruisers, but in exchange you get much better maneuverability thanks to this speed boost. I believe it's a 15% speed boost. No, 8%, sorry. It's not really much improved. It's not like some of those 20% speed boosts or crazy ones. It's just a standard 8% one. I think that's the baseline for speed boosts, and it helps a lot still. I had fun with this thing. And again, carrier coming to drop us. We're in smoke. We're not even detected right now. He's a fan. He's a fan. That's how I'm going to take it. But having a Superheal, having decent open water ability, it's fairly maneuverable. I will gladly take it. It's an interesting ship. I think it's more interesting than the Montcalm was for the French line. I think there you probably just play the Glacier as the tech tree ship. This one plays enough differently that I think it's worth looking at. Still, it's 23 bucks to spend on the game for a mid-tier premium. You're not really going to gain too many credits relative to, let's say, a higher tier premium. If you're really going for credit grinding, you really should be trying to play the highest tier premium you can. And keep in mind there's a difference between premium and special ships. Special ships are kind of those higher tier ones, those tier 10s specifically, where they don't have a credit multiplier. And that's why they don't quite earn as much as tier 9 premiums. Very weird there, certainly, but tier 8 and 9, just know tier 8 and 9 premiums are generally the best credit earners outside of Original Missouri, which you can't get anymore. Dealing with the sub here, we do manage to run into him. I noticed that our Rook was having to deal with him. That's never a fun situation. So I was hoping maybe we can catch him off guard here by pushing through the cap and hopefully kiting from this King George. We eat a Citadel from those dive bombers, but again, that 50% repair helps us out there. And we don't actually kill him with that full pen. I don't know what it is, man. Subs are just so tanky. They just... I don't know. On that HP, I think one shell would have killed a DD easily. Not for a sub. Yeah, unfortunate. But hey, we do manage to survive. We help our battleship live. We take out the King George, and it's looking like a win. A little harder to activate all of the consumables or the buffs here on Cunningham, since we can't really get Witherers all that easily. I suppose maybe we could get it through flooding, I guess. Are our secondaries HE? Let me just check. They actually are. So secondaries plus flooding, it's technically possible. But I don't think you're ever going to activate the reload buffs, I think, off of Witherer on this thing. But still, couple of kills. Guess it's another set of consumables, allowing us to have another speed boost, another super heal. Very nice. Unfortunately, the aiming system is just totally going to send all my shells really, really high here. So even though I'm aiming waterline, they're all going way up into the superstructure. So we're not going to get too much more damage on this Ryujo. But a nice win here with the Orion 44. It can play much more aggressive, where the Unicum was really wanting to use that extra range to impact games with the HE spam. This ship can play more aggressive, and for me, I just enjoy that more. I like playing at closer ranges. Things with heals allow me to do that, and certainly the extra maneuverability here can help us a lot, where the Unicum lacked maneuverability. It didn't get the speed boost that the tech tree had. This one gains a speed boost that the tech tree did not have. So nice to see that here. Very interesting ship to play, and this one to me is the better pick over the Unicum, just for how I like to play the game. Although Rodney's probably the most interesting one. Those 30k alpha torps are pretty hilarious. But we managed over 100k in this one and carried a little bit, almost, 2.6, 2.7k base XP. Pretty good. And as for the build here on the Orion 44, I kind of went with just what they recommended, basically. Just went for the Torps here. Didn't get much value out of them, but that Torp damage is very high. Nearly 20k alpha out of these Torps is pretty good, although they're a little bit slow, and they do take a while to reload. But there is some power to be had there, and it's really hard to buff the guns on these British light cruisers, since you do only have the AP. There's really no point in taking anything for high explosive, of course, and you can't even take heavy AP shells because your caliber is too low. So buffing some of the other stuff can make sense. I probably could go consumables enhancements even, get even more value out of that engine boost. It's pretty useful. Although there is top grade gunner, which I did omit, I suppose. But taking survivability expert here as well as superintendent, I like that a lot, since we get extra healing from superintendent, just another heal. And the more base HP you have, the more your heals are going to give you back as well. So nice ways to stay alive there. That does get us just over 30k HP, which is pretty good here, especially with that super heal. Means we can survive quite a bit. Upgrades here look like this. We are taking the rudder, since with these light cruisers on the British line, typically you can't even slot the propulsion mod because it's essentially baked in. They do accelerate rather quickly, and combined with an engine boost, it's nice and maneuverable, this one. So open watering can be a little easier. Of course, you can also just use island cover in a smart way and not have to worry as much, especially early game. I would recommend doing that. Cruisers, of course, get better the later the game goes, the less crossfires and that they have to deal with is always going to help them out a lot. Armor-wise, we don't have a lot. It's very, very low, but slightly above water citadel here. Not a lot of armor on that as well, but fortunately, it's not under the guns, so you got to be pretty precise in where you're aiming for this ship to actually land some of those citadels, which is nice to see. Very similar to Leander, of course, because they are, I guess, very similar ships. Makes sense, right? Not the most engaging commentary there. But I like this one. I like this one a lot, I gotta say. The lack of smoke can be a bit of a problem, but as someone who enjoys the open water cruisers and can play that, the speed boost is a lot of fun. And super heals, man. Any sort of healing at these ships, at this tier, these cruisers, it makes them just more comfortable to play, right? Mid-tier cruisers have it tough without heals. They just get punished so hard for any little mistake they make. Or let's be honest, any sort of just random battleship RNG that just says, yeah, I overmatched you and I took half your health away. That's not the most fun. At higher tier, you get the heals and a little more armor to help with that, which helps. But yeah, these mid tiers can be a little rough without the healing. So this one with a super heal, pretty good. Although the Leander has a regular heal and the smoke, could be a little easier to play. So that's going to do it for this ship. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.